talking about. When we take a look at the big picture, it's one trough that's sitting around Florida and through the Bermudas, and that's going to continue to track to the east. So what happens with our system here across the central part of the Atlantic is it will eventually just meander around before it actually gets caught up with this system. It is looking a little better organized, if you could say that. There is more convection circulating right around the center, but it does have some shear along with it, and it's moving right now towards the west at 12 miles per hour, still 1,570 miles east of Bermuda, with winds at 60 miles per hour. Now, the thinking on this is possibly that it may continue on this west track, eventually take west, northwest, west, southwest, just meandering out at sea. As I mentioned, there is one trough that's making its way around the eastern areas of the U.S. that's going to eventually catch up with this, and that should be the end of our tropical storm thereafter. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. In fact, we'll have to wait and see. It is possible that it may strengthen. It is beginning to move into some much warmer waters. But even then, whether it strengthens or not, it is still expected to stay out to sea and then drift with our trough that will take it away. Now let's focus in a little closer to home, because this area here is a broad area of low pressure. Now, whether it's tropical or not, it has merged with a frontal boundary and is sitting right through the Bay of Campeche. Organized, it is fairly unorganized as far as convection. You can just see a big blob here. It has affected some of the rainfall here in Florida, but it has a lot of strong winds aloft, winds up to 50 miles per hour, and that is going to continue to keep things from developing for some of it. But more than anything, we're expecting to see that same front moving across the U.S. tonight, eventually push southward, bringing in with it some of that cooler air, and that will not allow for this system to make its way northward into the U.S. So we're not concerned with that, but one thing that we are concerned with is how much of that moisture is it going to spread here into Florida. We've seen quite a bit of rain, and we have a stationary front right here, and some of that moisture could continue to get tracked in there. But nonetheless, we'll continue to monitor this and see if whether it remains to be just a broad area of low pressure, or if it now begins to take on the characteristics of just a cluster of storms with a front that's merged with it. Or could it be our next tropical storm? There's still a lot to be said, but we're not too concerned as whether it's going to make any sort of impact here across the U.S. And for the eastern areas of the Pacific, very quiet, a few little areas of convection, but overall a very quiet scenario. It's a little on the quiet side too across the U.S. We do have a lot of cold air making its way in around the Great Lakes. It's this big spinning wheel here that will continue to keep things very active for us, and by the morning we could be talking about snow around the UP.
And that's what brought it back down to a tropical storm yesterday. You can see some of the convection starting to wrap back around the center. Yesterday the low-level circulation was exposed. Today it looks a little bit healthier, but it is forecast to actually become a hurricane over the next couple of days. It's very far from Bermuda, 1,500 miles, so we do have a long time to watch this. For the rest of the Atlantic Basin, very quiet here. We do have some very quiet weather in the Caribbean, complements of our TUT, our tropical upper tropospheric trough. And then here in the Gulf of Mexico, very interesting here, the Bay of Campeche. We actually had a tropical disturbance merge with our front, and that's not that untypical, and this is where we typically look for development this time of the year too, right on the tail end of a front. And it has merged, and there's circulation there. It's not totally tropical just yet, though, and hurricane hunters will be in there later on today to investigate. Did find 50-mile-an-hour winds or 50-knot winds on the west side of this, but it may be because of the front and the strong jet stream winds just to the north. So it's something we're going to watch. It could develop into a tropical system, but if it does, the track would be off to the west into Mexico. Even though it may be moving west into Mexico, if it does develop into Larry, then it still would cause some problems in South Texas with heavy surf. And we're seeing 9 to 15-foot waves out there. And of course, for small craft, this is not good. We have coastal flood warnings also up from Baffin Bay to Rio Grande River, Texas. Eastern Pacific, we have an area of low pressure right in here, some convection flaring up. This could also become a tropical depression or tropical storm, maybe within the next 12 to 24 hours. But either way, at least at this point, it is heading away from land. That's your tropical update. Nick?
Hurricane Isabel is providing a break from the tax man. The Bloomberg Money Barometer looks at deadline adjustments for those dealing with hurricane recovery.
Good morning. Some taxpayers have been granted a reprieve because of Hurricane Isabel. The Internal Revenue Service extended deadlines for some taxpayers because of disruptions caused by the hurricane. For taxpayers in areas classified as disaster areas, all business or individual tax returns due starting on September 18th, whether with original or extension deadlines, are now due on November 18th. The relief doesn't apply to information returns or employment and excise deposits. The extensions apply to residents of 26 counties in North Carolina, 30 cities and 68 counties in Virginia, the city of Baltimore, and 23 counties in Maryland, and 3 counties in Delaware. And speaking of Hurricane Isabel, Lloyd's of London estimates that it will receive gross claims of less than $200 million stemming from the hurricane. Risks covered by Lloyd's, the world's biggest insurance market, include property damage and business interruption. Hurricane Isabel was the strongest storm to hit the United States in 4 years. For the Weather Channel, I'm Linda Bell with the Bloomberg Money Barometer.
Will the weather cooperate for your ride to work?
Dennis Smith has your quick commuter forecast as First Outlook continues. Stay with us.
This program was brought to you by U.S. Bank. Who's the most convenient bank in America? That's us, U.S. Bank.
Who's the most convenient bank in America? U.S. Bank. The one with full-service branches in more states, more ATMs in more convenient places, and more 24-hour banking options, both over the phone and online at usbank.com. Best of all, everything we do is backed by our one-of-a-kind 5-star service guarantee. The most convenient bank in America? That's easy. That's us, U.S. Bank.
Hi, I'm John Scherer, CEO and founder of Video Professor. You know, after teaching people how to operate their computers for over 15 years now, I'm amazed that there are still people that don't have computer skills, like Windows, word processing, the internet, and email. If you're looking for that new job, or maybe it's just balancing your budget, or even helping your kids with homework, these aren't handy skills to have, these are essential. If you're having trouble learning the computer, I'm going to help you out with a free learning lesson of your choice from Video Professor. Let me show you how simple this is. You put the CD in your CD drive. The lesson plays right on your computer screen. Just follow the step-by-step instructions that guide you through learning the software. The lesson always stays on top of the program you're learning. You see what to do, then just do it yourself. You can't make a mistake because you see the results right in front of you. You can pause or rewind the lesson to move at your own pace. The CD is like having your own personal tutor. It's always there.
At the Gulf of Mexico, where we're watching a flare-up of convection or showers and thunder showers right in here. It's in association with an old front. We have a broad area of low pressure that's just kind of sitting there. The hurricane hunters are going in. They're going to check things out, see what's happening here. If, in fact, it is a tropical low or not, remains to be seen. If it becomes a tropical entity, if it becomes a named storm, the next name on the list would be Larry. So keep that in mind. If we see another tropical storm, it would be Larry. And if it does become a tropical storm, all indications are that it would continue to move in this fashion into the coastline of Mexico, perhaps. And so that would bring some heavy rain in that direction. Hopefully it will stay away from Florida. You don't need any more rainfall. Into the rest of the Caribbean, all is very, very quiet. South of Puerto Rico on back towards Honduras and Guatemala, things are looking pretty good. So this is the big game in town, where we have the old front just kind of stalled out here. We've seen a ton of rain in Florida, just way too much. You're still getting pounded near Daytona Beach, Florida, even as we speak. So some of these areas have got a surplus of over 10 inches of rain for the year already, and we have been adding insult to injury with all of this rainfall. But you can see that flare-up of convection still pretty steady here, and we have been watching things get a little better organized, but it's still not that well organized. So like I said, they're going to send a plane in there, check things out, bring the information back to us, and we'll certainly pass that along to you as soon as we get more information. Like I said, if a tropical depression does occur and becomes a tropical storm, The most likely scenario would be that it would bring some heavy rain into the coastline of Mexico, and that's what we're thinking at this point. Elsewhere, the islands looking pretty good. The Lesser Antilles, the Virgin Islands, fine and dandy this afternoon. And as we go a little bit farther out into the Atlantic, we can tell you about Tropical Storm Kate. Winds at 70 miles per hour. Movement is now to the west at 12 miles per hour, and we're thinking that the shear that it's been encountering may start to lighten up, and so it could actually regain some strength and continue to move over the very warm waters of the Atlantic. So that remains to be seen exactly what's going to be happening with Tropical Storm Kate, which has held itself together even though it's been encountering all of this shear, and it could actually start to re-strengthen over time as it doesn't encounter all of that shear and continues to move over the open, warm waters. Another vantage point of the Gulf of Mexico and what's happening there. And as we head into the Pacific, we're going to keep an eye on a couple of flare-ups of convection over the next several days. What's going on in the lower 48? Here's Rich.
Yeah, let's check out the latest conditions around the country, and we have back over through Michigan. It's snowing today, more in the way of snow, so it could mean a little bit of tough travel over through northern Michigan. Some areas may see 3 to 6 inches of snow. Here's the current readings into the 30s. Widespread 30s from Bismarck and Fargo. Low 30s over toward Marquette. Farther south, it's milder into the 50s. Wind chill factor, there's a slight factor of the wind. Wind chill making it feel like mid to upper 20s. Northern Minnesota, right back into northern Michigan. Radar picture here, the white indicating snow. The pink is a rain-snow mix. So as the day wears on, the temperatures are inching up a couple degrees. The snow changing over to rain or rain-snow mix, although the higher elevations will likely stay as snow. Over to the northeastern United States, some rain showers early around Boston. Those are taking off right down to New York City. The rain also lifting off to the northeast. Farther south, we had trouble with rain, especially a few days ago down toward Fort Myers, right down in areas down 75, down to Naples. Today, most of the rain back over toward Daytona. And you may see a few inches of rain, too, with the showers, which are very persistent. Over to Salt Lake City, an occasional rain shower around the area, and that's the way it's looking in the forecast, too. Areas of Utah and into Colorado, scattered showers right into your Thursday. So essentially, the forecast is not going to change much over the next 24 hours. Still cold and maybe a little snowy back over through the lakes.
Pretty cool, a little cooler than average. Well, there's more to come in the next hour. If you're wondering what the rest of the week is going to look like, stay tuned for your weekly planner. That's at 20 past.
Well, also for central areas of Florida, the attraction's a little bit tough out there. You may need an umbrella. We'll tell you more about this coming right up.
Mr. Goodrent.
Expect fair skies on Friday and Saturday, and on Sunday, expect a chance of rain.
You're watching PM Edition, my friend. I'm Dave Schwartz. It's 10 before the hour. That means it's time for your tropical update. Let's check in with our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons. He is keeping an eye on tropical, make that Hurricane Kate. And there's a new tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico. Steve, what's up?